Hi you guys, and welcome again. We're talking about completing the square today. Now, we've already talked about factoring. Okay, factoring is one way of doing it by hand. We've talked about solving by tables, pretty simple. And we've also talked about graphing. Okay, now you have to understand this hasn't been around forever. This has only been around for the last 20, 25 years. Okay, so graphing with powerful graphing calculators like Desmos hasn't been around forever. See, what you have to do is understand the history of how we got most of the answers. And sometimes factoring just didn't cut it. And sometimes tables were just too darn hard. So they came up with another method, which was completing the square. Alright, because normally what you would do is you would factor and you would do by factoring the easy way and just working with it that way. Whereas with completing the square, it's for the ones that you can't factor. Like, for example, if I take a look at this, x squared plus 12x plus 16 equals 25. Okay, now taking a look at this, I couldn't normally do this problem. If I minus the 25 over here, I'd get negative 9. And what two numbers multiplied to negative 9 but add up to positive 12? None of them do. So how do I actually do this? You do this method called completing the square. Okay, and what you're going to do is actually completing the square turns this into the vertex form. So that's actually kind of nice. But what you're going to do is you're going to focus on this one first, the 12. Okay, you're going to take half of 12, so 12 divided by 2 is equal to 6, and then you square that. That's going to be 36. And what you do with that number is you add 36 to both sides. Okay, alright, so this now turns into x squared plus 12x plus 42 equals, what's that, 61? There we go. Alright, so we have this all set up. Now what I can do, no, on this side you don't add it, you just kind of leave it be. So we're going to leave it be, so this was going to be the, we're going to put the 36 here, and then we're going to put the 16 right next to it. Okay, so we leave it like this. So we add it on this side, so we add the 36 with the 25, but we do not add it with the 16. Okay, we just keep this as. Now if you notice, this is a perfect square trinomial, so I can factor this, and this becomes x plus 6 squared plus 16 equals 61. Okay, now I can actually solve this. And I just work my way down. X squared, x plus 6 squared equals 45. Okay, and then I square root both sides. I got x plus 2, or x plus 6. Well, actually, in actuality, I'd probably just square root both sides. What am I thinking? So what I do is I just square root both sides. Now I do have to account for both a positive and negative number. Okay, so x plus 6 equals the plus or minus, which is, where's that plus or minus? 2, 4, 1. Plus or minus the square root of 45. Okay, and if you notice, if I try to break that down, that becomes x plus 6 equals that becomes 3 root 5. Well, let's keep the symbols going. 3 square root 5. So there we go. Alright, and then I would minus the 6 to the other side, and I could get the exact answer of what the roots are. So it'd be alt 241 3 alt 251 root 5 minus 6. So there would be two versions of that. There would be a positive version, which would be 3 alt 251 5 minus 6, or negative 3 all 251 root 5 minus 6. So there's actually two exact numbers without getting decimals and everything. Okay. Now if you were to graph this, you would actually get the decimal version of this, and you need to understand is sometimes those don't match up. So if you do get the decimal version, if you do like graphing because you want to take advantage of the technology, please do so. But just realize you're going to have to convert these to decimals, okay, and just match them with the right answer. So if you do that, you should be fine. Okay. Alright, and that is pretty much it. Now, I just wanted you to recognize something before we move on. This is actually vertex form. Well, that's very close to vertex form. This is how you would get there. You would actually... you would minus 45 from both sides. So you would get x plus 6 squared minus 45 equals 0. And that would actually be your vertex form. You'd say equals y, and you would find that the vertex is equal to 6 comma negative 45. Well, it would be negative 6. Oh, jeez. Okay. Now this is how they did it back in the olden days. They just worked with it and just actually figured out everything. Alright, but you guys should be fine. I mean, if you like this method, feel free to use it. If you don't, feel free to use any other method. But now you actually have not only 1, 2, 3 ways to do this, but you actually have 4 ways to solve a quadratic. Okay, and some of them have their own advantages over others. Some of them just make your job a lot easier. Okay. Thank you.